Madlala from next to the heater. You tried to hit him, you couldn't reach. Then Tumelo Madlala himself takes the crutch and hit the second suspect. Are we still together?
Silana ke uthatha khona ikhrash kaThumelo eyayiseduze ke kweheater ushaya ngayo ke kodwa ke ngeshwa akuzange uphumeleleke noma ukwazi ukuthi umshaye waseyithatha uThumelo kuwena wamshaya ngayo sisesonke
Ngiyakulandela.
I follow you.
Where exactly did Tumelo Madlala hit the second suspect with that crutch?
uThumelo wamshaya kuphi umsolalo wesibili ngaleyo crash?
Angizange nginake ukuthi wamshaya kuphi kodwa ngiyazi khona ukuthi wamshaya.
I didn't notice as to where he hit him, but I know that he hit him.
Now, let's go to this aspect of the relative positions of the main actors in that fight, in that confines of that space in the kitchen. And I'm going to ask again that photo 15 be exhibited to us, please.
Sike uzocela ukuthi kukhonjwe isithombe u15 ila azocela khona ukuthi usho ke ukuthi bantu laba babe khona ke kuleyo fight leyo ukuthi babe kuphi nendawo noma ubani wayekuphi.
Yeah, that's the photo. Now, next to, there's a writing, it's circled, I don't know what, my vision can't see clearly. That's a 2, is that a 2? And it's circled. Next to, or in that vicinity, which suspect was standing in that vicinity and the direction or position he was facing?
La kuno 2 khona ke usekliwe ubani owayemela phayana futhi ke noma umkhusolo owayemela phayana futhi ebheke ngakuphi.
Owayemela pha yilo ama dreads suspect number 1.
The one who was standing there is the one with the dreadlocks, suspect number 1.
Angithi usho la.
Are you
Yes,
referring to them?
indeed. Now, relative to him, where was the deceased that you refer to as Senzo Meyiwa? I refer to the deceased for my purposes. Where was he?
Umaywa naye ke lo uqala ke uqethe ukukhuluma ngaye uSenzo yena ke wayekuphi nendawo.
Babebhekene kanje.
They were facing each other like this.
And then they were facing each other. Were they in a lockup? Because if I understood your testimony is that they were wrestling for a firearm. Is that correct?
Shilo ukuthi babekwisana ngaso isibhamu ngithi.
Yebo kunjani?
That's correct, yes.
Now, in that position, facing each other, they are jostling for the firearm, correct?
Bayalwa ke balwa ngaso isibhamu bebhekene benjalo ngithi.
Yebo kunjani?
That's correct, yes.
Now, next to him, let's use the door handle as a beacon, but I'm not saying it was exactly there. Who was standing there?
Asebenzise ke ihandle lena ke isibhalo ke angithi ikona ke but nje ukhona lapha yana ke kunehandle khona. Kwakubani olapha?
Suspect number 2 wayeme khona.
Suspect number 2 was standing right there.
And relative to him and the direction that person was facing, who was in that position in front of the second suspect?
Ubani ophambi kwakhe ke ususpect number 2 futhi loyo muntu loyo owayephambi suspect number 2 ebheke ngakuphi kuluphi uhlangothi.
Njengoba sengishilo ukuthi bekubhizi ekitchen angisakhumbuli kahle ngoba abanye babesuka ngapha beyingapha abanye basuke ngalaba egala so angisakhumbuli kahle ukuthi ubani wayelapha.
As I've already said that it was busy in the kitchen, the others would move from this side to this side and the others from this side to that side. So I can't remember well as to who was there.
Now, my point exactly, and I'll come there to in greater detail when we talk about the ID kit, that was compiled by Mrs. Steenkamp, I think you should recall her, and the ID parade. Now, you say you were busy, and I accept it was busy, it was hectic in that situation. For how long did you observe the facial characteristics of both accused and in particular, both suspects, and in particular, the second suspect? How long did you take in that busyness to observe the facial features of the second suspect?
Kubona ke lokho uthi bakubhizi ke khona lapho ke ukuthi ke wathatha isikhathi esingakanani ke ukuthi ubabheke ubabone ebusweni ke ukuthi banama features athile noma ma features wapi ebusweni bona bobabili ukuthi kwakuthatha isikhathi esingakanani lokho.
Okokuqala ekitchen ilambu lasekitchen li bright kakhulu.
Firstly, the kitchen light is very bright.
Ubona ngisho impukane idlula.
You can even see a fly passing.
Lena ususpect number 2 ngambona kahle futhi ngalesi sikhathi mangiqala ngithatha icrash ngimbheka. Ngambona okokuqala mayise passage mase ngizomshaya ngecrash ngangizama ukumshaya ebusweni.
And I saw the suspect number 2 and I looked at him. I first saw him in the passage, and when I took the crutch, I wanted to hit him in the face.
Now, and bear with me, your best educated guess in terms of time, was it a minute, was it seconds, when you looked into his face, as you state?
Uma nje ungaqagela ke sikhuluma lana ngomzuzu sikhuluma ke ngama second uma ungathi nje umbhekile ebusweni.
Ngambona kahle into engayibhekanga nje ukuthi isikhathi mhlambe ngabuka 10 minutes ufike cha angibhekanga konke lokho kodwa ukumbona yena ngambona kahle.
I looked at him well and I saw him well and I can still recall or remember him, but the only thing that I didn't look at was the time as to how long I looked at him.
Like I said, I'll come to that in greater detail when we do identification in terms of the ID kit and the ID parade. But in fact, let me leave it for that because I'll touch for it in greater detail. Now, for completeness sake, in that hectic situation where there's a firearm, there's danger, the following persons: Mthokozi Sitwala, Tumelo Madala, Makhumalo, the deceased, I know, leave the deceased, and Kelly. Kelly, your mother, Tumelo Madala, and Mthokozi Sitwala. What role did they play in the fight that was happening in the kitchen?
Kuleso simo leso ke esasinobungozi ke phakathi kukhona isibhamu uma wakho uKelly uTumelo asimyeke kumufi umthokozisi yini ke ababekwenza bona ke kulolo kokulwisana okwakukhona lapho ekitchen.
Wonke umuntu owayelapha yana wayezama ukushaya ngandlela thize ayaziyo kodwa mina ngesingami mina ngifinyelelanga ke.
Each and every person that was there was trying in whichever way that the person possible to that person to assault, but I myself I couldn't or I didn't succeed.
And in that confined space, and if we look, sink to the cupboard where there's a yellowish bucket, I'm not sure what that side is, or is it 2 sinks, I'm not sure. You are saying that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that is the 6 of you that were in the house, the adults, including yourself and the deceased and the other 4 that I counted, and the 2 suspects at the door, managed to cramp in and fit in that space for that fight.
Uthi ke bonke labantu ababaliwe lapha yana laba u6 ke wasebasho nabanye laba ababalile ukuthi nonke ke nani lapha kulesa space esincane esisibonayo khona lapha.
Ngikhuluma ngabantu laba engibaziyo mina akekho wayesidudla so sonke salingana lapha.
If I'm making reference or speaking about the people, those that I know, no one is usually built or is fat, so all of us fitted in there.
Now, your testimony is that at some stage during this fight that's happening in the kitchen, a gunshot goes off, correct?
Shilo ukuthi kona ke lokho kwakwenzeka ke basiqhuma isibhamu.
Yebo kunjalo.
Yes, that's correct.
When this gunshot goes off, what was the relative position of the deceased and the person with the dreadlocks? What was their relative position at that time, not during the fight now? At the time the gunshot goes off.
Ngalesikhathi ke seqhuma isibhamu ke yena umufi kanye ke nalona ke onama dreadlocks ke bona ke babe isimo sababe kanjani ke ngokumayina ukuthi babe ngokuma kwabo ke omunye komunye babe kanjani babu kanjani isimo sabo.
Njengoba bese ngishilo phambilini ukuthi babelwela isibhamu bobabili bereslela isibhamu ngaleso sikhathi. Nangaleso sikhathi nje ubungibuza babe lokhu belwela isibhamu beqhubeke njalo.
As I've already mentioned that they were wrestling for the firearm, both of them, and even at that time when the firearm went off, they were in that process of wrestling for the firearm.
Let me clarify it for you. My aim is not to confuse you. Let's start where we started. Where the Mark II is at with the circle, we agreed that was the gentleman with the dreadlocks, correct?
Sishilo ukuthi la kuno-2 khona ilaba kume khona lo ama-dreadlocks angithi.
Yebo kunjalo.
Yes.
And in front of him and involved in a tussle as well for the firearm is the deceased, correct?
Phambi kwakhe ke belwisana ngesibhamu kwakuwumufi.
Yebo kunjalo.
Yes, that's correct.
Now my question simply is this. When the firearm, the gunshot goes off, are they still in that position that you described it?
Engikubuzayo ukuthi ngalesikhathi ke isibhamu sesiqhuma babe sekule yandawo ke le obusushilo ukuthi babe mikuyona.
Ngokukhumbula kwami kunjalo.
As far as I can recall, yes.
And at the time this gunshot goes off, did you see the firearm at that stage?
Ngalesikhathi isibhamu siqhuma wasibona ngaleso sikhathi leso isibhamu.
Eqinisweni amehla ilokho egijima yonke indawo. So angeke ngisho ukuthi ngasibona mesiqhuma. Cha ngezwa ngenhlansi eyangishaya phansi ngasizwa sona. Being honest, the eyes were all running all over the place. I wouldn't say that at that time I saw the firearm, but I just heard it when it went off and the spark that hit me.
Now I want you to clarify for me, because there's an aspect yesterday of your testimony that I did not quite get correctly. You'll tell me if I'm wrong. Let me just put it according to how I put it in my notes. You said that you saw a spark when the gunshot went off, and then you then were hit by a shrapnel, correct? Or a piece of something. I'm not sure. I can't put a name on it.
Uzosho ke uma ngaba indlela engiyibhale ngayo ke noma engizwe ngayo ke ingasiyona ke uthe wabona ke ispark uma isibhamu siqhuma ke wase wezwa ke into ekushayayo.
Cha awuzwanga kahle advocate. Ngithe mina isibhamu saqhuma ngezwe into eshaya phansi and then ngezwa inhlansi eyangishaya unyaweni.
No, you didn't hear me correctly, advocate. I said that the firearm went off. I then heard something that hit the floor, and then I felt a spark that hit my foot.
Oh, that's exactly what I wanted to come to, because unfortunately my first name is Sipho, but I'm not Zulu, so I don't understand the language. So the point that I'm trying to get is this: the spark that you saw was not from the fire, the gun as it fired. That's what I want to get.
Engifuna ukuthola ukuthi ispark leso wasibona sasingaphumi was not from there.
Was not from the firearm as it was shot. Remember, when let me clarify, parents.
Yeah.
When a firearm is shot, normally, especially at night, you'll see what they call a muzzle flash. That is the bent particles that come at the barrel of the firearm. So that's what I wanted to get. Is that the spark that she saw, or a spark when the bullet hits the floor?
Uthi ke Okwenjalo ke uma isibhamu siqhuma akhona ke akubizayo na njengamazel okuphumayo ngalesikhathi uma siqhuma yiloko kubonile noma wena ukhuluma ngalespark lesi saloku okushaye phansi.
Bengishilo phambilini ngathi asikho ispark engisibonile. Ngizwe kushaya phansi, into eshaya phansi ngase ngizwa ispark esingishaya onyaweni. Akukho ngibonile.
As I said previously, I never said that, or there's no spark that I saw. The firearm went off, and then I heard something that hit the floor, and then the spark that hit my foot.
I'm not going to belabor the point because I was confused by this word implants because in Setswana we say kasi. The kasi is a spark, so that's what confused me. But let's leave it at that. Now, your testimony is that upon this gunshot going off, yourself and Tumelo Madlala ran off, yourself in the bathroom and Tumelo Madlala in some bedroom respectively, correct?
Fakazi bakho shilo ke ukuthi uma siqhuma ke sithe noma sithe uma siqhuma leso sibhamu wena noTumelo nasenbaleka ke wena wangena bathroom uTumelo ke wangena kwenye ikamera.
Kunjalo.
Yes, that's correct.
And just in I'm not taking it step by step as you took it, but further that whilst you were in the bathroom, you had a second and a third gunshot going off, correct?
Ushilo ke ukuthi inkathi use bathroom wezwa isibhamu siqhuma kwesibili wasizwa futhi siqhuma nokwesithathu.
Yebo kunjalo.
Yes, that's correct.
And in fact, if I understood your testimony correctly, is that the second shot, the first shot and the second shot were of the same loudness, and the third one was not as loud as the first two, correct?
Uma ngikuzwe kahle kushilo ukuthi lesi sokuqala nalesi sesibili ke indlela ke saqhuma ngayo ke kwakunokufana ke kodwa ke lesi esesithathu sona ke asiqhumanga ngokufanayo nalesi sokuqala nesesibili.
Kunjalo.
That's correct.
Now, and just for clarification purposes and completeness sake, those second and third gunshots, according to your testimony, you testified that they were both emanating from the vicinity of the kitchen area, correct?
Ushilo ukuthi nalesi sesibili nesesithathu noma sesiqhuma kwesibili nokwesithathu nalapho sasiqhuma sibuya ekitchen.
Yebo kunjalo.
Yes, that's correct.
Now, also now clarify this for me. It's a point, but it's a quick point to pass on. In the bathroom, between the bathtub and the basin, I just wanted to find out the position that we were at, because yesterday I was conflicted between the two because I couldn't hear it clearly. Were you squatting or kneeling in that position?
La phakathi kwebathtub kanye nayo ke ibasin angikuzusanga kahle ke ukuthi wawuguqe ngamadolo noma wawusquattile.
Ngikwenze kokubili.
I did both.
Okay, let me track back. I'll keep on doing that, so indulge me. How long? Let's go back to the kitchen. I'm going back to the kitchen now. How long did the fight in the kitchen take place from the time when the two suspects are bundled together, they end up where they ended up, a fight ensues, and the first shot, the first gunshot goes off? What was the time duration?
Isikhathi okwasithatha kusukela nkathi ke njengoshilo ukuthi nasukuma nonke ke nase nibadudula bobabili ke ngasikhathi esodwa. Isikhathi kwasithatha ukuthi nibadudule nibase kitchen ke kwakhona loka okulwa okhona ekitchen kwaze kwaqhuma isibhamu siqhuma okokuqala ukuthi kukonke lokho kwathatha isikhathi kwakuyisikhathi esingakanani.
Njengoba sengishilo phambilini ukuthi isikhathi into yokugcina uyibhekayo.
As I've already said previously that time is the last thing that you look at.
Especially futhi makwenzeka into enjena kwesinye isikhathi ufile ngathi kuthatha isikhathi eside ngoba kuningi okwenzakalayo kwesinye isikhathi ufile ngathi kusheshile so angizange isibheke isikhathi okwangempela.
And especially when something of this nature happens, at times it feels like it takes a long time, at times it feels like it's quick. So I didn't look at the time.
I understand that, and it's a normal reaction. But what I'm trying to say now, borrowing from your word, the feeling that you had, did it feel like it took longer or it took shorter?
Kanye-ke kuloko oqeda ukusho-ke ukuthi ngesinye isikhathi ngathi isikhathi eside, ngesinye isikhathi ngathi isikhathi esifishane. Kuwena-ke kwakuzwakala engathi kuthatha isikhathi eside noma kusheshile.
Lo mbuzo unzima kakhulu ngoba kuyashintshashintshana. Sometimes njengoba bese ngishilo ukuthi ufile ngathi kusheshile, kwesinye isikhathi ufile ngathi kuthatha isikhathi eside, especially makuyinda into ebuhlungu kanjeyana.
That question it's a difficult one because, as I've already said, that it interchanges. At times it feels like it took long. At times it feels like it was very quick, especially in such a hurtful situation.
Now, let me jump back now. You are squatting or kneeling in the bathroom. I just want to see where the door is. To the booth. Now, I see a bluish object, and obviously from there, I won't see the basin. But just for clarification purposes for me, because I couldn't understand yesterday because you were emotional at times, where were you kneeling or squatting in relation to that picture that's on the screen now?
Musebenzisa lesi sithombe ke ngathi wawunyile kuphi noma uguqe kuphi noma usquate kuphi?
Asiqale la le ibasin.
Let's start here. That's the basin where the witness is pointed. That's the basin.
And then la kunesikhala esincane okwazi ukuma khona mhlawumbe mawugeza amazinyo noma ugeza izandla.
And there's a little space there where you are able to stand when you are brushing your teeth or you are washing your hands.
So ngangime khona kuleso sikhala lesi esijwayele ukusebenzisa masigeza izandla noma sigeza amazinyo.
So I was standing in that gap that we usually make use of when we're brushing our teeth or washing our hands.
Let's look at photo 22 as well. If I look at, and you'll correct me if I'm wrong, the space that you refer to where you normally would wash your teeth or hands or whatever on the basin seems to be facing the door that is on your right as I stand here, correct?
Lesi space okhuluma ngaso engathi ke sibheke umnyango wakho uthi la amekhona ke ozoba se right.
Cha akunjalo.
No, that's not true.
Ayibhekile emnyango.
The basin is not facing the door.
Mawuvula umnyango ibasin ibheke kanje. So mawuvula umnyango ibasin ibhekile.
If you open the door as the witness is indicating, the basin is facing that side.
And perhaps let's go back to 21 again, photo 21. Now that door, to which direction does it close? The bathroom door.
Uvalekela kuphi ngakuphi le mnyango le?
Uvalekela mawuthi uvalekela mawuvula uvulela ngaphakathi.
When you open to the inside.
Yeah.
Okay, you close, it comes to me.
To you, yes.
Now, I'm going to, with regard to that, you are in the bathroom, the gunshots have occurred, it has quietened down, and your testimony now is that you then peep through the bathroom door to ascertain what is still going on where the gunshots were coming from, correct?
Ushilo ke ukuthi ungaphakathi ebathroom yaqhuma ke isibhamu kwase kuyathula ke wase uyapopola ngawo umnyango lo wase bathroom ubheka ukuthi kwenzakalani.
Yebo njalo.
Yes, that's correct.
Now, your testimony is that as you peep through, you see the deceased going towards the dining room. Is that how you put it? Because I couldn't hear some of your testimony yesterday.
Ushilo ke ukuthi uthe uma upopola unjalo ke wambona ke umufi uthe ekhokhoba ya uthe wambona ke ekhokhoba eya ngase dining room uthe ke akazwanga kahle into buyisho nobufakazi bakho.
Yebo njalo.
Yes, that's correct.
And according to your testimony, if I understood it well as well, is that as he's going towards the dining room, he's coming from the kitchen area, correct?
Uya edining room usuka ngase kitchen.
Yebo njalo.
That's correct, yes.
Then your testimony further is that shortly then you see Kelly following the deceased, correct?
Wasubona uKelly emlandela?
Yebo njalo.
Yes.
Then shortly thereafter your mom also
Was
following
following my
them,
mother.
correct?
Yebo njalo.
Yes, that's correct.
And then also you then see the first suspect, the one with the dreadlocks, also following towards the direction where the three of them had gone, correct?
Wasubona nalo oqala ke umsolwa ebalandela.
Yebo njalo.
Yes, that's correct.
And that Zandile Khumalo stood behind the deceased and your mom was next to them at the couch in the vicinity of the corner of the couch and the TV stand, correct?
uKelly emuva kwakhe umufi uma wakho yena ke emeduze nabo ke kodwa ke uceleni kwe couch ekhoneni ye couch eduze ne TV stand.
Yebo njalo.
Yes, that's correct.
And finally, you say, your testimony is that Kelly's cellular phone, the S4, was at the time charging and it was on the TV stand. If I understood you well, is that correct?
Manguzwe kahle ke uthi S4 yakhe uKelly yayi ku TV stand i-charger khona lapha.
Bengithe izolo mengikhuluma ukuthi angisakhumbuli noma ibiphezulu kosofa ku armrest noma ibise standing ngoba indawo esiyisebenzisayo lezo charge.
If I remember well, what I said yesterday was I can't remember whether it was on the couch, on the armrest, or on the stand, because those were the two places that we were using when charging.
Be that as it may, you testify that your mother then takes that phone off the charger, Kelly's phone, correct?
Wasuthi ke uma wase eyikhipha noma ethatha ke leyo phone leyo kaKelly kwi-charger.
Ngambone seyiphethe yebo ukuthi uyithathe phezulu kwe-armrest noma phezulu kwe-stand angimbonanga ngoba wayibhekile.
When I saw her, she had it. As to whether she took it from the stand or the armrest, I didn't see that because she was facing that way.
And if I understood you well, you say when your mother takes that phone, it somehow fell on the sofa or on the couch. Is that my understanding of that aspect of your testimony?
Ingabe ngikuzwe kahle yini uma uthi yase iwa wele sofeni?
Engushilo ukuthi yathathwa ezandleni zakhe. Ususpect number 1 mayimshaya and then wayithatha ifone umama iyeke bambisiswa.
What I said was it was taken from her hand, when suspect number 1 hit her, witness indicating with an elbow, hit her, and then he took her from her hand.
And that's the question that I was going next to, that you say you saw the first suspect with dreadlocks hitting your mom with an elbow and taking that phone, correct?
Umbonile umemshaya uma wakho ngendololwane ethatha leyo phone.
Yebo ngiyambona.
Yes, I saw it.
I'll come to this aspect when I deal with your previous and inconsistent statements. Now, I'm going to jump the issue of going to the hospital and all of that. Now, as Now it's quieting down. The suspects are all gone. You go to seek for help.
Sekuthuleke manje abasolwa abasekho ke wase kuhamba ke uyobheka usizo.
Yebo kunjani?
Yes, that's correct.
You go and seek for help because you say you tried to call 10111, but you couldn't for some reason. What was the reason thereof?
Ushilo ke wathi wazama ke ukuthi ufonele u10111 kodwa ke awuzama ukuphumelela. Kwakuyini ebangela lokho noma eyabangela lokho?
Njengoba sengishilo ukuthi ingqondo yafreeza, hayi ukuthi u10111 angikwazi, ngiyawazi. Kodwa ngaleso sikhathi ngoba kuningi okwakwenzeka ngavele ngafreeza ngangazi noma ngidayile noma ngenza njani.
As I've already said that my mind just froze. Know that I don't know 10111. I do know 10111, but at that time I didn't know whether to dial or not.
But you are with Kelly and your mother in that sitting room. Why don't you give the phone to one of them to call for assistance?
Kodwa ke wawukanye nayo uKelly noma lapho e-sitting room kwathini ke ukuthi unganikeza omunye wabo ukuthi ke asize.
Nabo babekhala ngabona ukuthi nabo kusho ukuthi bakule position efana neyami, so ngafuna umuntu sober minded.
They were also crying. I then realized that they were in the same position that I was in, so I looked for someone who was sober minded.
Now your evidence is that you go over to Mapiri's house, but before you get there, there's a car parked on the street belonging to Ntabiseng, whom you described as a relative of Mapiri, correct?
Wase uya ke kwa Mapiri kodwa ke uthe uma uya kwa Mapiri wabona ke kunale moto emi estradini yakhe uNthabiseng oyisihlobo sakhe ke uMapiri.
Yebo kunjani?
Yes, that's correct.
Now, at that time, in your frantic state, why did you not ask Ntabiseng, because she is known to you, and scream that there has been an issue or a problem in the house, that she must immediately summon help?
Kwenzeka kanjani ke ukuthi uNthabiseng ngeke ungaceli kuyena usizo nanjengomuntu omaziyo ke uNthabiseng umtshele ukuthi khona okwenzekile ucela akusize.
uNthabiseng asinalo ukujwayelana ngalo ndlela kodwa uMaphiri umngani kama.
We not that used to each other or close with Ntabiseng, but Mapiri is my mother's friend.
And ujwayele ukuze ekhaya ngaso sonke isikhathi.
And she is used to coming to our house all the time.
Ingqondo yangisa kuyena.
So my mind took me to her.
Accept that. My Lord, with leave of the court, I'm going to ask for 10 minutes because I'm changing exhibits and my bigger document is on the other side, my Lord. And I need to sort out exhibits that I'm going to ask questions.
You want 10 minutes for that?
Yes, my Lord.
Mr. Baloyi, where are the exhibits?
It's
I think they are on just on the other
crate.
side.
They're where?
No?
They're in the crate, my
Just
Lord.
on the
It's
other side.
stacks of files on the crate on the other
They're on
side.
the floor.
Yes.
No, you can go and take them.
My Lord, I have to peruse one by
No,
one.
you can take them. I thought you were going to take them at Pretoria Square.
Then, my Lord, I'm going to ask because I was wondering this morning whether I could lay them down here so that it's easier for me to do as members of the press, my Lord. So, hence I requested 10 minutes. Because now,
You want to take them all out, or you take them one at a time, one at a time, one at a time. Or you are laying them all. There were 12 exhibits, as I remember reading. Mr. Baloyi, how many exhibits were there? 12 was.
In the previous talk?
Yeah.
no, there were lots. There were lots.
So you want to take them one by one, or you want them all to be strewn up around there?
My Lord, for the sake of brevity, so that each time I don't beg for an indulgence to go again.
So you need 10 minutes. Okay,
Yes.
fine. Come back in 10 minutes.
Understood.
Yes, sir.
My Lord, I'm indebted to the court.
Thank you.
Now, ma'am, if I ask you of a person named Tamsanga Gabuza, do you know that who that person is?
Uma ngakubuza ngoThamsanqa Gabuza, uyamazi lo muntu lo?
Ngimazi umngani kaSenzo.
I know him as Senzo's friend.
Have you met Tamsanga Gabuza before?
Useke wahlangana naye ngaphambilini uThamsanqa Gabuza.
Yebo, uSenzo benokummema mhlambe makunento encane esizenzayo endlini.
Yes, Senzo used to invite him when we had some little ceremonies or things that we would have at home.
So in terms of familiarity, would I be correct to say he was just an acquaintance to you?
Uma ngingathi kuwe kwakuwumuntu nje omjwayele.
Engimazi ngokumbona yebo.
That is correct, yes.
Now, this gentleman, Mr. Gabuza, has made a statement in this matter, and I just want to read to you only one paragraph from that statement, and I just need your comment on it, correct?
Yena ke uThamsanqa Gabuza une statement yeke awasenza mayelana leqala leli ke kunomuntu nje owodwa engifisa ukuthi ngikufundele wona.
Where did he make that statement, sir?
Sorry, my lord.
Where did he make that statement? Who attested the statement?
I go to
Have you laid the basis for introducing that statement?
my lord,
Yebo.
it's a statement that's been discovered by us.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's coming to-
Me, I don't know any statement.
Yes.
That's why I'm asking you this
Oh,
question.
indeed, sorry, my lord, it's me who didn't clarify it. It's
Yeah.
a state witness that was disclosed to us.
That's
my
it,
lord.
fine. Okay.
And also is in the list, my lord, of witness list of
Okay,
witness
fine.
statements. May I proceed, my lord, then
Yes,
to
yes,
read
yes.
the said paragraph? It's paragraph 5 thereof, my lord, and it states, I can also state that at certain times, Senzo told me before he died that
There's a court, please, my lord. We want to object to that to this question. It's based on hearsay, and the question would be unfair. We strongly object to that.
Mr. Badoi says you want to introduce hearsay evidence.
exception to hearsay, my lord,
Hello?
exception to hearsay.
Yeah, there is an exception. Section 3 of Act
Yes.
45 of 1988. I know all that.
Yes.
But he is saying you can't introduce that evidence because that statement says, Senzo told me that. Is that what you're saying?
Indeed, my lord.
That's it. Evidence Act number 45 of 1988. How do you introduce hearsay evidence?
Sorry, my lord.
Yeah.
My lord, will mull over it. Let me not be fair to the witness at this point in time.
Okay.
Now, Ms. Khumalo, you testified that you attended in a session whereby you met with the sketch artist to compile the ID kit for the persons that you saw at the incident on the 26th of October 2014, correct?
Akasoze basabuza ke ngestatement kodwa ke ushilo ke kubufakazi bakho ukuthi ke kukhona ke la owaya khona ke la owahlangana khona ke nomuntu owayedweba ke noma owayezodweba la okwakushiwo khona ke ukuthi ulekelele ngokudweba abantu labo othi wababona endlini ngaleli langa.
Yebo njalo.
Yes, that's correct.
And if you recall, relative to the incident happening in October 2014, when did you meet with Mrs. Warrant Officer Steenkamp?
Yena ke uwarrant officer Steenkamp lona ke kwakuyena ke owaye conductor lokho ngokumayelana nesehlakalo ke kwenzeka nini lokho ukuthi uhlangane naye uwarrant officer Steenkamp emuva kwesehlakalo.
Sathi mase siqeda ukubhala i-statement ngelanga lesibili emva kwesehlakalo, and then sasuka kuleli room le-statement sasesiswa kuleli room lokuthi sikwazi ukusiza ukudweba.
It was on the day of the making of the statements, when we were done with the making or the giving of the statements, we were then taken to this other room to go and assist with the drawing of the identity.
Now, with respect to meeting up with Mrs. Warrant Officer Steenkamp, the purpose thereof essentially was to compile ID kits for the persons that you say in your evidence were suspects number 1 and 2, correct?
Injongo ke yalokho ukuthi uhlangane nokuthi nihlangane naye ke uwarrant officer Steenkamp kwakuthi ke kudwetshwe ke labo bantu labo othi kwakuyibona ke abangena endlini ngaleli langa ngithi.
Yebo njalo.
Yes, that's correct.
And with respect to accused number 1, suspect number 1, you've already stated the things that you added on that ID kit because other people had already done some features on the sketch, correct?
Ubusushilo ukuthi kuloyo qala ushilo ke izolo ukuthi yini owayi-eda wena ke ngoba abanye vele babe sebeqalile angithi kuloyo qala.
Yebo njalo.
Yes, that's correct.
Now, with respect to suspect number 1, I'm not going to ask you questions because it's not my client, but regarding the second suspect, and I'm going to read, my lord, this is the statement of a warrant officer, Amanda Steenkamp of LCRC, Proteat Lane, Medan robbery. Now, I'm going to read only the aspect that touches on you regarding the second suspect. And she says, and I read, the second witness was Kelly's sister, Zandile Khumalo. That is yourself, correct?
Uthi ke lapha yana owesibili ke udadebo Kelly uZandile wena lo wangithi.
Yebo njalo.
Yes, that's correct.
And then she further states, she told a similar version and gave a similar profile and facial description of suspect A. That is the first suspect that I said I'm not going to touch on.
Do you have an extra one?
Page 4.
Page 4.
Yeah, at page 4.
Okay, and there?
The first paragraph is where she introduces herself, and there's the main paragraph, the third paragraph, the smaller paragraph where it starts with the second witness is, you see that, Mr. Jonas? On page 4.
Just sorry, my lord, sorry. Apologies, my lord. Yes, I can see that, sir.
Okay, let's start again. Warrant Officer Steenkamp reads this regarding the second suspect, and she says, the second witness was Kelly's sister, Zandile Khumalo. She told a similar version and gave a similar profile and facial description of suspect A. The only feature she adds was the eyebrows. She saw the eyebrows when suspect A lost his headgear during the scuffling with the deceased. And then the important part is that she says she could not describe the second suspect.
Akubhalile ke lana uwarrant officer Steenkamp ukuthi owesibili ufakazi kwakuZandile Khumalo washo ke number 1 ke zake okufanayo ke futhi emchaza ke ngokufanayo nangobuso ususpect A. Futhi ke kuphela nje into awayifake kwakuyiwona ke amashiya wawabona ke amashiya uma ngabe ususpect A noma umsolwa uA kuwa ke isigqoko sakhe ngalesikhathi ke ayelwisana ngaso nomufi akakwazanga ke namazanga kwazike ukuthi amchaze umsolwa wesibili. Uthi ke yiloko akubalekile akufundela kona lokugcina ukuthi akazange akwazi ukuthi amchaze umsola wesibili.
What is your comment on that? Because the police specialist says whatever you testified in court about the features that you testified about here in court, she says you didn't describe what you say is the second suspect at the scene, whom you now dog identified as accused number 2.
Manje ke ufisa ukwazi ke ukuthi uthini ke ngalokho okubhalwa la iphoyisa ke ukuthi nanjengoba lana enkantolo umchazileke wathi u-accused number 2 wabe usumchaza ke nama features kodwa yena la akubhalile ukuthi cha akuzange kwenzeke nje ngathi owawunaye ke umlekelela ukudweba.
Engifuna ukuthi ukwazi ukuthi ngaleso sikhathi sasi under a lot of shock. Ezinye izinto zibuye emva kwesikhathi. Ingqondo iyabuya ukhumbule kancane kancane izinto zihlangana.
What I would like you to know is that under that during that time we were under a shock or too much shock, and that after some time you would then regain, in other words you would then recall, things come back bit by bit and you are able to recall.
Futhi njengoba sengingene la ecourt ngithema ngiphosa amehlo lapha umzimba wami nespirit sami konke ingqondo kwabuya kwahlala lapha.
And when I came into court, everything, my mind, my body, my spirit just came back and I saw him.
I hear what you're saying, but you didn't answer my question. My question is simply this: do you admit or not that you did not tell warrant officer Steenkamp the features that you now testified about in this court as those matching the second intruder that you got identified as the second accused?
Kodwa ke umbuzo wami wona ke awukawuphendula uyavuma yini noma awuvumi ukuthi kuyena ke uwarrant officer Steenkamp lama features owachazile ke la enkantolo nanjengoba umchaza ke uthi uyena ukuthi kuyena ke awuzange wachaza lawo ma features lawo.
Engicela futhi ukuthi ukwazi ukuthi ngathi mangena mina laphana ezinye izinto zaseyifakiwe already abanye bese bebefike khona laphana. Mina ngase ngifika ngifaka lokho okunye nokunye engibona ukuthi ikona engikukhumbulayo.
The other thing that I would like you to know is that when I went into that room, the others had already given the features, so I just added that which I saw that was still outstanding.
Okwesibili futhi ukuthi bangibonisa sona isithombe sasaye umsolo lo ngasibona futhi ngakholwa ukuthi ngempela uyena.
And the other thing is that they showed me a picture or a photo of the suspect, and I was satisfied and I could see that it was him.
Ingakho futhi ngak'edanga okunye elokho bese ngikusho.
And which is why I did not add the other.
Ma'am, yes or no? Let's cut this chase. Yes or no? You did not give warrant officer Steenkamp those features that you testified about in court, correct?
Uyebo noma cha ukuthi lama features owachazile la enkantolo awuzange uwachaze kuyena uwarrant officer Steenkamp.
Bese kukhona ingakho ngasingazange ngisachaza.
It was already there, which is why I did not mention it or say it.
I'll take that as a no.
Ngizothi ke no law. That's up to you.
Now, what you added with Ms. Steenkamp with respect to the second suspect was you put a mustache that you described that it runs across the mouth, both 4 corners of the mouth, right?
Into owayichaza ke noma owayifaka kuyena uwarrant officer Steenkamp ubushilo ke wathi ke kwaku nentsebe ke eyayi jikelezile noma la emlonyeni.
And also you added only height and complexion, correct?
Wase futhi ongeza ke i-height yakhe kanye futhi ke nokuthi ukanjani noma ke ibala lakhe complexion yakhe.
Yebo kunjalo.
Yes, that's correct.
And I can go to that. I didn't want to do that exercise, but I can go to that. In all the statements, if I remind you, and we can go back to that, you've never ever to the police from the 27th of October 2017 until the 18th when you made your last statement, you made 3 statements to the police. You've never ever given them the facial features of the person that you say was the second suspect.
Kuzo zonke ke itatimende ke owazenza kuze ngo-2017 kwaze yoba yi-18 ke la wenza khona ke istatimende sakho sokugcina ke awukaze unikeze ngawona ama-features, the features?
The facial features.
Okay, lama features la obusoke la owachazile kuzo zonke itatimende zakho awuwachazanga.
Okokuqala istatement njengoba sengishilo istatement sokuqala esasenza. Yebo umuntu wayengaphansi kokuthuka nakho konke lokho. But esesibili i-additional statement kwakuyimbuzo uphendula umbuzo. So if lo mbuzo awufikanga kumina bengeza ukuphendula.
Firstly,
ngawutholanga la.
the first statement was when one was still shocked or under shock, and the second statement or the additional statement then it was a question would be posed, and then I would then answer. If that question then never reached me, or that question was never posed to me, then I would not get to that.
I get that, but on the 27th of October 2014, when you made that statement, the police were empathizing with you and the people that were in the house. That means they were not harsh on you, correct?
Okay, 27 October.
So I don't know what the basis is for,
Let's
for
leave
the
it.
question.
I'll withdraw the question, Malala. Then let's go to the other aspect, which is the ID parade that you identified, that you attended, at GP SAPS regarding the first suspect that was arrested in this matter.
Asiyeke manje kwi-ID parade owaya kuyona ke eyayise GP mayela ke nomsolo ke owoqala owaboshwa ke eboshwa kulona leli cala.
And before I even go there, let me ask you this question. The person that you allege to be the second suspect, you've never seen that person before prior to 26 October 2014, correct?
Lo muntu omchaze nanjengomsolwa wesibili ke noma ke omchaze nanjenga lo umsolo wesibili umuntu ongakaze wambona ngaphambi kwaleli yalanga lange-26 ka-October 2014.
Yebo kunjani.
That's correct.
Now, regarding, and my learned colleagues from my left will agree and excuse me for asking this question. You've never ever attended an ID parade pertaining to accused number 1 to 5, correct?
Awukaze waya kwi-ID parade eno accused number 1 ukuyofika ku number 5.
Yebo kunjani.
That's correct, yes.
And now let me quickly move to the ID parade in GP, SAPS in Joburg. That lineup had, you said yesterday, I don't want to put words into your mouth, it had many male persons on the lineup, correct?
Ushilo ke ukuthi ushiliso lomufakaza ke ukuthi leyo parade leyo ke yayinabantu besilisa ke abaningi ke ababemi khona lapho.
Yebo kunjani.
That's correct, yes.
And having done that process, entered the room where the persons are lined up, you see them through a two-way mirror. You then asked, because you suspected a particular person, you then asked for that person to be brought forward closer to the mirror so that you can look at them properly, correct?
Ushilo ke ukuthi kwakunalona ke owawusola ke noma ke owawumsola noma owawumqhathanisa ke wase ucela ke ukuthi loyo muntu loyo ke bamsondeze ukuthi umbonele eduze.
Yebo kunjani.
Yes, that's correct.
Now, yesterday, your testimony was that at that identity parade, you did not identify anyone, correct?
Ushilo ke izolo kubufakazi bakho ukuthi kuleyo ID parade akekho umuntu owamkhomba.
Cha, akekho impela engamkhomba.
No, indeed, there's no one that I identified.
My Lord, I've got in front of me an SAP 329, which is an identity.
What?
SAP.
Yeah, it's a parade document.
Yes, yes.
I know all these things.
Yes.
So what about it?
Yeah, I was just, in case my Lord will ask me where am I taking this from.
Yeah.
It serves as an exhibit, my lord.
Yeah, okay, fine.
Okay. Now, the person that conducted the ID parade says, and I'm going to quote in the results section of that document. It says, and in quotations, number 2, come to the front. Those quotations, that's what you asked for, correct?
Wabuza uthi ke ngendlela abhale ngayo laphayana wena wacela ke wathi number 2 akezwe phambili.
And then from
Yes.
there, it says you identified / said who was wearing a brown jacket, t-shirt, and a black jean.
On page
Sorry, Mr. On page 3. So, Mr. Jonas. Where does a witness? No, not page 3. Sorry, Mr. Jonas. On page 4, where it says witness Zandile Khumalo, language Zulu,
Yes,
and
yes.
all of that.
Yes.
So I was reading at the 8th slag or the results section.
Just read me, it's fine.
If I may read again, at the results section, it starts with open quotations and it says, number 2, come to the front, close quotations, and I asked the witness whether that was her request according to what's written there.
Kwakuyisicelo sakho lesi ngalendlela ebhalwe ngaso la number 2 was phambili.
Yebo kunjalo.
Yes, that's correct.
And then now, as part of that results section, it says, you identified / said who was wearing a brown jacket, a t-shirt, and a black jean. That's what it says. So you identified somebody contrary to what you told the court yesterday.
So it's someone's name, /.
Yes, let's
Okay.
say.
Please, I don't think it's correct. The witness did say she identified someone and said that person, who she identified as the as number 2, or was wearing the tag with number 2, had similar features as the second suspect.
Okay, I'll then leave it, my lord. Now, let's.
Persisting with that.
I'm not
You're
going
not
to.
wrong.
Yes, I'm withdrawing that question, my lord.
Okay. But is that what the policeman wrote?
Yes.
I was about police away.
Sorry, Major.
I was about police away.
No, I don't know.
Okay.
Now, we were at this juncture, me and you, of the dog identification of accused number 2, right? And my question was that prior to the 26th of October, you've never met him, we were past that stage, correct?
Bese sidlulile ke la uthi khona ngaphambi kwe-26 kwakumuntu ongakazi umbone.
Yebo kunjalo.
That's correct, yes.
And we've also agreed that okay, let's leave that. Now, accused number 3 was arrested on the 16th of June 2020 on this matter.
Number 3.
Accused number 2 was arrested on the 16th of June 2020 on this matter.
16
Did-
June 2020.
And he appeared in court on the 27th of October 2020.
Okay. Okwenzekayo ke lana umsolo wakhe wesibili ukuboshwa kwakhe ke eboshelwa lelicala leli waboshwa zi-16 June 2020 wase umevele enkantolo ke wavela nge-27 zika October 2020. Yes.
Did the police call you to come to an ID parade arranged for the purposes of identifying him?
Ingabe akufonela yini noma akubiza yini amaphoyisa ukuthi uzeke kwi-ID parade ngokuthi uzokhomba yena?
Cha.
No.
And for completeness sake, do you know whether or not the ID parade regarding specifically accused number 2, whether the ID parade was held.
Ingabe uya
No,
How
no.
would the witness know?
Let's
She
let it,
says she never attended any parade after that.
I'll withdraw that, my lord. Now, the person that you identified as the second suspect, did that person have any special features or characteristics that were impressed on you at the scene on the 26th of October 2014?
lo muntu owam identified njengo suspect number 2 ingaba yini kunama features ongathi ke iwona ke awahlala ke kona owakhumbulayo ke ngalela langa langa i26 zika October 2014.
Angikho sure ukuthi ngiyawu-understand umbuzo, ngicela ukuphinde.
I'm
Did
not
he have-
sure. I think
For example, there'll be people with, like you described, the first suspect, big eyes, protruding eyes, your contours, whatever. Now, this second suspect, did he have any other features facially that were distinctive, that the last they'll be impressed in your memory?
akubuza ukuthi angithi izolo uzokhumbula ukuthi ushilo ukuthi umchaza ama features ukuthi kwakunala amehla amakhulu aphumele ngaphandle futhi ama contours. Manje ubuza ngalona ke owesibili ke owamchaza nanjengo suspect wesibili ukuthi ngaleli yalanga leli umbona ngalo langa i26 ka October 2014 akhona yini ama features othi la ama features ahlala kumina angeke ngiwakhohlwe ngimkhumbula ngawo.
Ngikhumbula ubuso bonke njengoba bunjalo.
I remember the
Ngikhumbule
sorry.
i-height yakhe, ngikhumbule nomzimba wakhe.
I remember the whole face as is, his height as well as his body.
Now, well, accused number 2 and the rest of his co-accused, they are arrested, but let me be specific about accused number 2. Like I say, he's arrested 16 June 2020. Did the cops, sorry to use colloquial in court, did the police come and tell you that we've arrested new suspects on that matter?
Nanjengoba bese ngishilo ke kwena ukuthi ukuboshwa kwakhe ke umanga umsolo wesibili waboshwa zi16 uJune 2020. Ingabe eza kuwena yini amaphoyisa azothi sesibophe abasolwa abasha?
Cha, abezanga kumina into nje engayizwe endabeni.
No, they didn't come to me, but it's something I overheard over the news.
When did you overhear that on the news? The same month they were arrested on in October, I mean, they appeared in court. Let me phrase it this way. When did you learn about their arrest? At the time of their arrest or when they appeared for the first time in court in Boksburg?
Uma uthi ke wakuzwa endabeni wakuzwa ngaleyo nyanga leyo ababoshwa ngayo noma wakuzwa uma sebevela enkantolo eBoksburg?
Angisakhumbuli kahle kodwa khona ngiyakhumbula ukuthi ngezwa, angitshelwanga muntu.
I can't remember well, but what I do recall is that I heard. No one informed me.
And now they appear for the first time in Boksburg and subsequent occasions. And I know that you follow this case religiously. When their photos were now widespread in newspapers, media, and general social media, when did you see their faces for the first time?
Base bevela ke eBoksburg njengoba eshilo ke ngoOctober nangamanye ke amalanga alandelayo ke base ke ubuso babo ke sebugcwala ke khona mabona ku TV, khona emaphepheni, ku social media. So uma uqala ke ukuthi uboneke ubuso babo uqale nini ukuthi uboneke ubuso babo noma ubone ephepheni noma ubone TV noma ubone ku social media?
Okokuqala i-TV ngiyayi-avoid, especially indaba, ngoba leli cala into engizama ukuthi ngikhohlwe ngayo kodwa noma isimo singiphoqa ukuthi ngikhumbule.
Firstly, I avoid the television or the TV, especially the news, because of this matter. and but although the situation necessitates me not to avoid it or to remember it, but I'm trying not to.
So ukumbona kwami okokuqala ngambona, I think mangikhumbula kahle kwakutestify uMthoko.
When I saw him for the first time, if I remember well, I think it was when Mokgoatlheng was testifying.
And I don't know when Mokgoatlheng testified because I wasn't part of this trial when it started. When you saw him then, did you then go to the police and say, the person that is now accused number 2 in that matter is the person that I believe or think was the second suspect on the 26th of October 2014 at the incident at our house?
Uthi-ke akanasiqiniseko-ke sokuthi uMthoko utestify nini ngoba-ke bengasiyona ingxenye uma icala leli liqala. Kodwa-ke uma usumbona-ke manje ngalesikhathi osho uthi wambona ngaso, ingabe waya yini emaphoyiseni wayowatshela-ke ukuthi loya engimbona njengomsola noma u-accused number 2 yilo engikholelwa ukuthi-ke kwakuwumsola wesibili ngaleli langa lange-26 zika-October 2014.
Into engiyaziyo ukuthi noma futhi ngangiyazi ngaleso sikhathi ukuthi liyofika usuku la ngizokwazi ukusho khona. So whether ngisho manje noma ngisho then kodwa kusalayo ngizosho.
What I know and what I knew at the time was that the day will come where I will get an opportunity to say that, whether I'm going to say it here or but I will eventually say it.
Now, I'm not sure in total how many years have elapsed since October 26, 2014 to date. But in my estimation, it's nearing 9 years or just over 9 years. Will you correct me if I'm wrong?
Anginaso-ke isiqiniseko kodwa ngicabanga ukuthi sekungale ku-9 years noma sekusondele ku-9 years kusuka-ke ngeyi-26 ka-October 2014 ukuzosho manje.
Yebo kunjalo, sekusondele ku-9 years.
That's true, it's close to 9 years.
And in that period, you'll agree with me that from 2014 October to now, the memory of the incident when it happened then and when you see him now, your memory has faded. Will you agree with me?
Uzovumelana-ke noma uzovumelana nami uma ngithi-ke ukusukela ngo-2014 ngo-October ka-2014 kuze kube manje-ke isigameko senzeka ngaleso sikhathi-ke ukuthi indlela-ke yokukhumbula noma-ke lokwakubiza ngokuthi memory-ke ukuthi ayisekho nanjenga ndlela eyayingayo noma-ke isiyafeyida-ke.
Ngithi ngiqale ngokuthi into embi yenzeka empilweni yakho, especially mina into efana nale yayiqala, and engqondweni yami ayindawo.
Okay.
And ngiyakholwa ukuthi iminyakeni ezayo 20 esazolandela ngisazokhumbula.
Let me start by saying that something that happens, something bad that happens, and to me especially, it happened for the first time. So in my memory or in my mind, it won't go anywhere. And I also believe that in the next coming 20 years, that I will still be able to recall it.
Now, finally, with respect to the versions of accused number 1 and 2 and their instructions to me are as follows.
Engikutshelwa-ke ilaba ababili-ke noma abakushoyo kumina-ke laba ababili engibamele-ke umsola wokuqala nowesibili ilokho okulandelayo.
My Lord, before I go there, I see accused number 1 is raising his hand. May I approach?
Yeah, you can approach.
Right? My Lord, my colleague here says it's China time for lunch at the moment.
What's the time now?
It's exactly 1, my Lord.
Ali?
It's 1 o'clock, my Lord.
Mr. Valoy, should we adjourn?
Indeed, my lord.
And when do we come back? 2 o'clock. Okay.